Hi, I'm Cox with BryCoxWORKSHOPS.com, and today's question is on the Sunny 16 rule. So, okay, I actually have some other videos and things to help you with this, but here's the Sunny 16 rule. It basically is a way of mentally metering. So, and this came because I have a video on getting perfect color and perfect exposure in camera. Part of that comes, step one, is mentally metering. So let's say I'm outside, let's say I'm a photographer, obviously, and I'm photographing a family. And the family is, maybe they're in the shade. It's a really bright sunny day, but they're in the shade. And the question is, what's the exposure? And you should know it right off your head. And if you don't know it off your head, then there's a little trick to get you that exposure. At least start it, and from there you can adjust it to taste. Because remember, there can be like 7 or 8 or 9 or so perfect exposures for any situation, but there's only a certain amount of light, and that light is measured and in effect controlled by the camera by 3 things. So we don't use all the fancy gizmos, right? All those things are trying to make 3 things easy on the camera. Trick is you learn those 3 things and you are now in control. You're more proficient in your profession, you're professional. Those 3 things, ISO, shutter, f-stop. So we have to know those 3. From there we can adjust them as needed, add light in one area, subtract light in another area to get that, keep that perfect balance, to get the characteristics of the light we want. That's a whole nother video I have on understanding those 3 things, but let's talk about the Sunny 16. How do you just guess those 3 things? So the Sunny 16 rule basically says to start, to kind of get a general mental picture of what the exposure should be, we're going to take ISO and shutter and make them the same number. So outside I would want a nice clean ISO, and I also don't want any camera shake, so I'd probably pick a number like say 200 or 250. So I'd set my ISO to 200, set my shutter speed to 200, and then my exposure, my last number, my f-stop, would be based upon kind of a general way that I look at the sun. If I'm in the sun directly and the sun is my main light, that would be f16. If I go into the shade, it's going to be 1 stop down, about f8, at least on the skin, right? And we can keep going down. The deep shade might be like f5, 6. And we kind of step inside using maybe like some window light. It'd be more like 5, 6-ish, maybe more like f4, right? It gets darker and darker and darker. What's higher than f16? Is there something brighter than bright sun outside? There is. If you like say you're here in Utah and you're up on top of a mountain and it's winter and it's all white snow, and you got all this reflected light, that's going to be brighter than f16. It's going to be like f22. So that's how we start. We use those 3 numbers, ISO, shutter, to f-stop to start. From then we adjust it a little bit. Maybe say, I don't really want f16, I want f8. We can adjust down, but we have to adjust ISO or shutter up to give us more light. So again, I do have all of this detailed here in my book, Smart Secrets. That is on page 166, and it goes into a lot more detail. But step 1, of course, is mentally metering using Sunny 16. Step 2, then I would then pull out my meter. This is the Sekonic L as in Lima 758DR as in Delta Romeo. That's this particular model. I don't really care what brand you have or what meter you have, but you need a meter. I would then double check that exposure with my meter, mentally meter, physically meter, and then I would check those 2 things together, because guess what? Sometimes you're off. But you'll be amazed the more you do it, how close you can get. Sometimes you'll be right on the money within like a 1/10 a stop, or maybe a 1/2 a stop, which is really dang good. But don't shoot on auto. I mean, if you're at a party and you're just hanging out with friends, okay, that's kind of what auto's for. Anything professional, let's shoot manual. Let's be proficient in our profession. Let's learn how to use our camera. So no, we don't put on the little lady on the hat picture. We don't dial it to like mountains if we're shooting outside. If we're shooting like a race, we don't put on the little guy running. Like, no, M for America, because in America we know things and we're proficient. So there you go. The Sunny 16 rule. If you have a question for me, my website, BryCox, BryCox Workshops.com. Until next time, America.